All right. This is Ernie here from Trader of Futures. We are live. The live stream, I haven't done it for a little while since May. Seems to have changed a little bit, but that's okay. Got a full handle on it now. And it appears as if I'm live. Oh man. Very, very different now. There we go. So we have chat. Hi, how you doing? Hey, how's it going? All right. So this live stream is an update on the crash that I said that I had called for July, and I'm not saying that this particular move right now is in fact the crash, although it is a very strong move down. It essentially wipes out the move up that we had over the past few days, and it appears as if it's gaining at least somewhat in strength. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that or the reasons why I called this crash. And some of those reasons have been kind of put off. There have been some updates, changes to the G20 and their FATF report back. As a matter of fact, the overall disposition of the G20 has now been pushed back to October. However, they still have made some declarations. One of the probably the primary declaration that they made is that they still consider Bitcoin to pose a risk for a lot of people in terms of its use in money laundering, fraud, drug trafficking, that sort of thing. And I know that all of that stuff is kind of old hat and largely ignored by most of the cryptoverse, but these are the things that the G20 is actually concerned about. They're also worried about stability of markets and protecting consumers. Basically the same thing that the United States SEC is concerned with. And in fact, I think the whole world more or less looks at the SEC as kind of their model, and as well as the G20. Now, what they were intending to do was to come up with some kind of hard and fast regulation or recommendations for regulation for the end of July. And that's one of the reasons why I said that I felt that those regulations would be relatively draconian and not taken well by the cryptoverse. Now, in this particular case, they decided that, well, instead of coming out with the regulations, what we're doing is we're going to consider this the information or fact gathering phase. And now we're going to push off the declaration of regulations for October. And so that's where we're at now. So the decision now, does that mean I should revamp my prediction and say that, well, instead of July, now or the end of July, we'll make it to October sometime? And I don't know. I really don't know. It's a very, very tough thing to say. What do you think? Your opinion is always right, but in short term, it's wrong. It proved so many times before. Well, I mean, look, I never have said that my timing is perfect. And I don't think anybody can be perfect on their timing because so many different things can happen. I'm just looking at, from a fundamental point of view, how things are stacking up and how I see the industry reacting, and then, just drawing on my experience and then trying to make some kind of, ascertain some, what I think is going to happen. And I do think, and I do believe with all my brain power and experience, that this market must come down in order for it to go up. If it is pushed up artificially, that could in fact push the whole market further and further down the line. So if we want something to happen within the next year or two, we need very soon to come down real hard and then wipe out a lot of these altcoins and shitcoins and just get them out of the way. Create some kind of lull period, a period where we can all start accumulating more Bitcoin and start afresh a lot of these projects. All right, let's see. I think about these coins a lot. What have they done to be at their current market cap? Nothing, as far as I can see. None of them have any real utility. Bitcoin has no real utility. Some people are calling it the digital gold or the better digital gold, that it is in fact a store of value. And from that point of view, as long as people believe that it is a store of value and there's a big enough network that Metcalfe's law can, I hate to call it a law, but the Metcalfe equation can be used to explain, potential growth. If there are new people coming in, the greater fool theory, basically, you just need more people coming in, believing that Bitcoin's going to be worth something more in the future. As long as that's happening, then Bitcoin will be stabilized and start going up. But right now, that's just not happening. There are no new people out there. There simply aren't. There are simply no new people coming into this market. Now, does that mean that it can't go up? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that that's kind of a double negative. I believe that it can go up to some certain extent, but it's going to be driven primarily by the whales and other interested parties. They have a stake in this right now. And if Bitcoin crashes, a lot of those whales are going to get very hurt. They're going to have to release their Bitcoin. It's going to get redistributed throughout the market. Others will pick it up. So they want to hold on to it as much as possible. A lot of these whales are also really involved in the mainstream media, particularly, I mean, it's very obvious within CNBC and Bloomberg. They are total shills for this. So they are getting paid for certain behind the scenes to be, I think part of it is also that they think that this is a touch point, something that will at least get some eyeballs on their site, but there aren't enough people to get enough eyeballs to really make it worth it. So I think that they are getting pushed. They are getting financed somehow. It's a lot of native advertising that's going on those shows. And I also put Forbes in this category, as well as Business Insider. All of these publications, these mainstream publications, are, well, although Forbes never used to be this way, but they are all liberal enclaves. And that kind of worries me. That worries me a lot. The fact that these are driven by people with an ideological front. I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but that concerns me greatly. They're not the type of people that I want behind my next financial system. All right, terrible. I entered in 2017, but I did not think to resist again. I don't know what Peter Thiel sees in EOS to be their partner. I don't, EOS to me was nothing more than a money grab. They did a year-long ICO strictly for the purpose of generating as much money as they possibly could. And $4 billion is a lot of money. And what did they do with it? They've done nothing with it. It's just another scam. Ernie, the G20 racketeers want their cut, but they didn't figure out how to tax everybody. Well, that might be true. I'm sure that there are some people that are in the pocket of some of these miners and whales. They have got a lot of influence. They've got a lot of money behind them. So it's without doubt there is money flowing around and there is influence peddling. It has to be. It has to be, and you have to acknowledge that. Now, big question is, how far is this move going to take us down? I don't know. I've been saying, the end of July. I don't know if this is it. I really don't know. We tried to do this a couple of days ago, and then it got immediately pushed back up. So that may happen again. And then it may take another short couple of days before it gets pushed down. Again, my timing, I don't profess to be the expert on timing. Just, around these dates, there seemed to be significant movement for the reasons that I talked about. Yeah, it dove down about 300 points in the last hour. Absolutely. Something's changing this month. Well, I can tell you this, that right here is my break-even point on my short. And if it goes down any further, then I'm going to be in profit. Ernie, think they could use G20 pumpkin heads to stage the next big crypto crash end of the year? That could be too. Here's an idea. Push it down now, and then build up the optics right in through the end of the summer, and then into the G20 meeting for October, and then try to really build it up, and then crash it again. Kind of rinse and repeat. That may happen. 2850, then we see who survives. Yeah, I think that, 2850, right around that area would probably do what you need done in order to get this market. It has to get to the point where people say Bitcoin is dead. Altcoins, they were all shit. I knew they were all shit. Now they're all gone. And then people behind the scenes who are actually building the next generation will keep on going. Those people that actually have real financing, real intent will keep on going. Right now, enterprises have little to go on. There is no public ledger that anybody can point to and say, yeah, I want to invest billions of dollars into that. No company, nobody on the Fortune 50, 100, 1,000, 5,000, maybe the 5,000. Is there any possible BTC that will reach zero in the long run, 5 to 10 years time frame? Of course, that's possible. It's highly unlikely because of the ecosystem that has been developed and the sheer number of nodes. I think that there will always be at least some people that will find some utility in Bitcoin, and so either it's going to go to the moon and its technology is going to be revamped, or it's going to come down to something that is insignificant. Maybe something else will take its place, something that you really don't know the future. But right now, I would say Bitcoin has the best chance only because of its sheer size. All right. Do you still see a bear market? Well, yeah. I mean, we're still in a bear market. I mean, how can that be disputed? Ernie, I'd suggest to you to get one Bible and read Revelations. You will see end of times. The next 20 years, they will use the centralized cryptos that are going to be managed by an implant under the skin. Ain't nobody putting anything under my skin. Unless it's already there. Definitely Hashgraph or Hypernet. That's possible. Best part of not being a fanboy of any crypto is that you can sit off the drops. Yeah. Well, that should go with any kind of investing. You shouldn't be married to it. You shouldn't fall in love with it. That's really the most dangerous thing that you can do, because that will take away all your objectivity. New tokens just keep coming out all the time. Who needs all the new platforms? Even we don't use the platforms that are out already. That's true. That's because there's still, again, it's the kind of like the greater fool theory. There's always going to be enough people out there that you can, easily raise a few million, 5 million, $10 million. And if you can do that, and you really don't have to um, attract too many people to make $10 million. Great job, Ernie. Absolutely best analyst. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's futures expiry. That's what's today. No, it's not futures expiry. I really disagree with that, because if that were the case, then you would see sort of a reciprocal action on the on the next contract. The next contract has already been out for several weeks, right? It has been available for people who have positions to simply roll over to that next contract. Just because a futures contract is expiring, there is nothing inherent in the contract itself that should change the value at all. Nothing. So unless you can come up with some kind of definitive reason why a futures contract expiring, first of all, it's not like an options contract. An option contract not only has time, but it also has a premium aspect. There is no premium outside of the intrinsic value or strike price or anything like that in Bitcoin. So the time aspect is simply a non-issue. It is a non-issue. Dermal coin. I don't know what dermal coin is. We are 22% in bear market. I mean, oh no, we're down. I don't know. What are we down? 60 something percent. That's way, 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 way beyond a bear market. Ernie, what happened to the July 21st end of days for Bitcoin? All right. Again, that was the initial date that I had back in March. All right. And that's what they said that they were going to have. And I believe that's when they did actually start releasing a lot of this information. And they were also going to then talk about it. They were supposed to talk about it at the end of July. That's why I said, it could be July 21st, or it could be the end of July. I don't know. I mean, the G20 is actually meeting right now, and they've made their disposition known that they are now going to push off any kind of regulatory decisions until October. Dead cat bounce number 3. Yeah, I can see that. Just another dead cat bounce that is continuing. I mean, we're getting a little bit of a pullback right now, but now there's more selling coming in. Yeah, so we've had like 3 dead cat bounces. You can think of after a bubble burst and it falls off the cliff. It's kind of like taking a tennis ball and rolling it off of a table onto a nice hard floor. That initial bounce comes up, goes down. Then the next bounce comes up about halfway of the initial bounce, and then the next bounce smaller than that and smaller than that, and so on. And that's probably similar to what's happening here with Bitcoin. BitMEX stats on TensorFlow, 30 million longs got liquidated. Ernie, do you think all these cryptos are created and controlled by secret society, the Illuminatis? I don't know. Yeah, that's I'm not one for the conspiracy theories. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that some of those conspiracies are not reality. I'm just not buying into them unless I have absolute proof. Sasha's idea of a coin implant. Tensor charts. I'm looking at Tensor charts right now. This version of YouTube Live doesn't appear to allow me to share screens. Not sure why. Normally there's something that pops up on the left, but it doesn't. So sorry about that. I cannot show my screen. Why did it drop so hard? Well, no one really knows why something goes up or down unless you're actually in the know with the people that are perpetrating the move. But I would suspect that the people that moved it up in the first place have already taken their profits. They're no longer sitting there trying to prop it up. And the natural place for Bitcoin to go down without the influence of these whales and miners is that it will go down. And that is because there are no new people coming into Bitcoin. People are kind of losing faith that it will be worth something in the future. There's no new movement, no new interest. It's not expanding. So if it's not expanding, it's contracting, or it's staying the same while the powers that be try to keep it there. And then with their absence, it will then contract. I'm using a few prop timing techniques, and a few months ago I got a date of the 24th of September, and a few days ago they managed to move their ETF to 21st of September. Watch the time frame around the 24th for the fireworks. Well, I mean, yes, maybe your information is correct. They have pushed off some of the ETF decisions to August and some of them to September. Of course, the Winklevoss Gemini proposal was shot down, and you may have seen the video that I put out doing an analysis of the one dissenting opinion, the one person that voted for the ETF, Hester Pierce, and her reasons for, and I kind of debunked her reasons. I thought they were very weak reasons. If you're short Bitcoin futures and hold physical also, you can sell off some physical and make money on the short before the new BTC. Yeah, it's kind of an arbitrage. Possible short squeeze up to 10K. I could see it go to 10K, then crash. If not 11.5, then August 25th, the crash. I have a hard time seeing it going above 10K. I don't think it'll go above 9,000. If it breaks 7,740, it's all over, down to 4K. I don't know. Is that a technical level for you? 7740. I can look it up on my chart and see where that is. Got to zoom in. So actually, you know, I think that right now we're looking to move to 7,400, 7,450. I think that's going to be our next target. Now, we have really strong resistance at 77.77. All right, lucky sevens. Really strong, support at 77.77. Or thereabouts, 77.80, 7,800, right around there. Very, very strong support. And that actually represents a big volume well on the daily. So if we can break down below that, I see the next place for us to go is 7,450. Facebook shares crashed. That money will come to the crypto market? No. Completely different people, you know. If anything, I think some people might reinvest in Facebook or rotate it into another sector, probably rotate it into financials. Crypto Twitter are too bullish and shouting altcoin season while those alt whale are jumping off the boat. Not sure exactly how to interpret that. This is called banging the close of the futures contract. Google it, not allowed to post links here. I understand what banging the close is, but it is not a let me do some more analysis of Bitcoin and the futures market before I comment any further. I know what banging the close is. I do not see that, and I haven't seen any kind of pattern to say that this is banging the close. So It's purely speculation. Bitcoin Bob is my baby's daddy. Okay. Good. Gold and Bitcoin look so similar in charts, it's scary. I don't know about that. Winklevoss aren't in the club. CBOE will be approved. Yeah, but you know what? The Winklevoss and their Gemini exchange is actually the precipice for the CBOE futures contract pricing. So I think that they are more or less married to each other, or related at least somehow. And so I don't know. I don't know that I buy that. I think that the Winklevoss people are in the CBOE club. They have to. They've been doing business with them since they released the CBOE futures. Do you see the ETF getting approved? Not yet. There is nothing that has actually changed that would. There are apparently 4 SEC commissioners that are voting on this. One is of the opinion that these ETFs should be approved, and then the other 3 are still not. They're not over the hump. Now, some of the arguments that the dissenting opinion, the person who did approve or vote for approval, Hester Pierce, she made the argument that until, and this is kind of circular logic, she said until institutional money comes in and provides the kind of transparency and liquidity and stability that Bitcoin needs for approval, it's not going to get improved. So, so in other words, it has to, and there are no institutions that are going to get involved unless there's an ETF approved. So it's kind of the circular logic. What's going to come first, the chicken or the egg? Just bounced down to 78.60. Well, it just bounced up a little bit too. So we have a little bit of a, let's see, it got down to 78.41. 78.41 is almost, I think it could go down a little bit further, but 78.41 appears to be the low volume well. Let's take a look on the 4-hour chart to get a little better view of this. This is approximately where I thought there was going to be potential support. And if we can break through this area, then I can see us quickly going to, like I said, around 7,600, and then eventually move down to about 74.50. So it might take a little bit. Might have to bang on that door a few times. Monty says, "Yeah, you're right, Ernie. I'm just all doom and gloom right now." No, there's nothing to be sorry about. I mean, we all make our ideas known, and I don't know half this stuff. I just need to do a little bit more research and make a determination, but nothing to be sorry about. Everyone's idea is valid until it's not. If SEC approves Bitcoin ETF, how much Bitcoin price will reach? Oh, that's all right. So consider that that if an ETF or an ETP or whatever they want to call it is approved, will that usher in institutional money? That's a very good question. We don't know for sure. It may usher in some retail money. Now, if you remember, back in November and December of last year, everyone was saying that when the futures came online, that would just usher in all this institutional money. And what happened? It didn't. They used it instead. Well, even the institutions didn't even bother getting in. The miners and the whales used it to hedge their positions, which is what normally people that are in a big cash position in a commodity will use futures for, to hedge. And I was saying this right from the very beginning, that there aren't going to be futures institutions coming in for this for any reason. Not until there is more regulatory clarity. And an ETF won't necessarily give it more regulatory clarity. There's got to be some more to it for institutions to become involved. So I'm not so sure that even if an ETF is proposed or is approved, that it will just usher in the money. All right. So, all right. What's this question? What's banging the close? Um, Banging the close is where some large whales or people with very big positions will start either buying or selling really, really big positions all of a sudden. Now, I haven't seen any evidence of this. You might consider that maybe this is one of those where they're just doing a big sell. And the reason why they do this is to kind of initiate action. They're hoping to spark a catalyst that will keep it going down and then improve their position. But whales and miners, or the whales, have been banging Bitcoin on a regular basis. Whenever it gets down to a certain amount, you'll see that they're banging those, with some sort of coordinated action, banging the exchanges, but it had nothing to do with the close. So I don't know why the close should be any different. Um, it's possible that they have they've set up larger positions like on BitMEX or something like that, and they go on some of the other smaller exchanges and try to initiate especially some that might have lower liquidity, and then use a certain amount of money to like push price and then be able to then take advantage of that on a larger exchange once the price starts moving. That is very possible, but I just don't see it. If the ETF gets approved, you'll have to wait approximately 6 months before it is up and running. That's probably true. Well, I wouldn't say 6 months. I think it can happen pretty quickly, probably within a couple of months. We need round 2 of a Bitcoin Bob fight. Well, you can see Bitcoin Bob right over here. There he is, right there. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I'll have to bring Bitcoin Bob back and give him a sound beating. Do you think alt oh, comments just moved really quick here? Do you think altcoin massive rise in near future? That's what I've heard from the CNBC channel. Of course, CNBC, as I said in the beginning of this broadcast, are one of the shills of Bitcoin. So they're going to do whatever they can to move the market. Right now, we have a lot of rotation out of altcoins and into Bitcoin in anticipation of this regulatory action. But it looks like that's going to kind of reverse itself if we continue with this move down. Now it's big if. I mean, we're stopping here. We've bounced off of support, and we'll see what happens. Hey, Ernie. Hi from Vancouver. Hey, Vancouver. Have you thought of doing a segment with Tone Vase? Well, I did a debate with Tone, and if you go earlier on my channel here, you'll see that debate. It was a very good debate. We got along very well. So I'm looking at possibly doing a debate with Richard Hart. So we'll see how that goes as well. 38 million worth in long liquidations on last move down. Move up now? No, I don't think so. No, as a matter of fact, I don't think that there has been a sufficient liquidation yet in order to uh, exact a move. I think that it can go down much harder. Well, thank you, Trojan Hell. Ernie is the best. 54% short and 46% long at BitMEX. What do you think of BCH? I really don't think about it, to tell you the truth. Seriously, I just don't even think about it at all. Yeah, I think it's also a matter of who's more leveraged longs or shorts, but it's going to liquidate low hanging fruit. Um, like the OKX whale who bought 33K Bitcoin futures on a premium. Drive the price from 7,400 to 8,400 on OKX futures. Yeah. Yeah, that stuff happens a lot, obviously. I noticed Bitcoin market react opposite direction of long and short position of futures market. What do you think? I think the futures market, now I don't know what futures market you're talking about, but I only look at the CME and the CBOE. They tend to stay pretty well synced up with the major exchanges. CBOE is a slight lagger, but the CME is pretty good. What, if any, is the relationship with Bitcoin and the stock market? Now, there's no relation whatsoever. Ernie, do you play Minecraft? I did, when it first came out many years ago. But no, I'm not into Minecraft. But, in the past, I've been a big arcade player in my youth. Huge arcade player. Very good. Ernie, what type of martial art do you train in and how do you apply it to your trading? I don't practice martial arts anymore. However, I do get up on to Bitcoin Bob every once in a while and give him a sound beating. But I did practice a form of kung fu called Chinya and karate called it was Bokoku Kai Shaolin Karate. That was a while ago. If you listen to CNBC, you will get wrecked. Or any of the others. Arcade, that dates you, buddy. Yes, it does. I used to be the master at asteroids. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know much about asteroids, but the highest score that you can get on asteroids is 99,990. Now, on the original asteroids machines, every time you went over 100,000, you would get an additional ship. And I would sit there and I could do that all day and collect dozens and dozens of ships, and then I would hand them over to people. But also routinely, if I got onto a machine that didn't have a high score, I would get the maximum score by purposefully destroying my last ship right on 99,990, which actually took quite a bit of talent. But I was also a Galaxian Pro and a Ms. Pac-Man and Pac-Man. I could put on any of those 4 games. I could get on any arcade and I could put the high score on it. Google King of Foes, best game for whales like us. I'm not familiar with it, but I'll look it up. Why don't you start accepting VC fund from non-accredited investors as well as non-USA people? I'm eager to invest. I am from India. Because I don't want to get my ass thrown in jail, first of all. I want to do things legally. I want to do them in a way that is compliant and has clarity with the with U.S. regulations. It's kind of the way I roll. I mean, I have Junto coin and I'd love to do it, but I'm holding on to it until I wish this regulatory stuff would actually get going so I could do something with that. And at the same time, I'm thinking, well, not really, because that would, I don't know. I don't know when that point's going to be. All right. So, Ernie, I was able to scrape my way back to even after the big crash in February. I'm sitting in cash right now. What would your sound advice for me to be right now? All right. So, first of all, I'm not qualified to give you any advice. So, anything that I say here do not constitute as advice. This is education only. I do not tell people what to do. Some people will put their trust in me and let me do that for them, and that's okay. Or I can provide coaching for people and let them make their own decisions, but try to give them or try to help them build their own strategy. So I can't really tell you, where to put stuff, but I am going to be producing some videos very soon that will talk about what I think are some good strategies to use, big picture strategies for different types of investors. And essentially, I've always said that I've always felt that the holy grail of trading is to trade multiple non-correlated strategies and trade really small and exercise that one mantra I have, and that's capital preservation first, profit second. So from a big picture point of view, philosophical point of view, that's what I do. And I think that is about the closest thing that you're going to get to the holy grail of trading strategy. And that's more like philosophy above the strategy. So multiple non-correlated strategies, trading very small, allocating your capital across those strategies, absolutely knowing the edge, knowing your probability of profit and your return on capital. A large number of trades or the big number theory will help you achieve your targets. You want to know more? You can go to the Trader of Futures and fill out an application for trading coaching, trade coaching, and it's right there on the front page. When will the pump of your coin wink? I'm not sure exactly what that means. You think Bitcoin will decline down to zero or will remain around the current value? I don't think that it will ever go to zero, at least not anytime soon. But I think that it's possible that it could go down to $2,000 or $3,000. We need that kind of wipeout to really reset things. Now, right now, we're getting another kind of counter push back up. It's trying to get up to 8,000. Right now, it's 79.44. We'll see if this has any legs to it. Either that or we'll continue. If we sit here and we go back and forth for a little bit, then I think there's a good chance that we'll move down again. All right, guys, that's about all I have. I hope that this was informative. I think that, again, I'm not so sure that this is the crash or a crash. It's very possible. This is right around the time that I thought that it would happen. So I thought I'd just put out there and give you an update on what I'm seeing. All right, Ernie, I'm watching your video from long time, as well as Wisher. I advise you, and it comes from my insight that you may be threatened from crypto whales in the near future. Please be careful. I agree. I think I've already suffered their wrath, to tell you the truth. And right now I am embroiled in a legal battle with AT&T for allowing my identity to be stolen. And that was the original reason why my original YouTube channel was deleted. So anyways, it's all good. I'm working forward. You guys, if you need any coaching, trading help, I am available. Please go to my website and fill out an application and we can talk about your needs. And everybody else also on that site, if you want to help support me, I have a donation button there for people that might want to support me in my content creation efforts. That would certainly help as well. I really appreciate everybody that's come on here and commented, and those people that didn't comment just to say hello. And thank you, and we'll see you next video. Take care.